Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Environmental Justice Now. My name is Leah Jones, and I am the Education Coordinator for Virginia Interfaith Power and Light. Thanks for tuning in today for this fun episode of introductions and getting to know a new member of the VAIPL team, Pastor Ralph Hodge. Hello.
Hello. I'm excited to be here today, and I'm excited to be a part of the Virginia Interfaith Power and Light team. 2 weeks in, I'm excited.
2 weeks in. So he is our new faith outreach organizer, and I am excited to be learning more about him today, and what he's been up to, what brought him here. And after working with him the past couple of weeks, I can already tell that wherever he shows up with energy. And who doesn't love that, right? So thanks again for being here today, Pastor Hodge. We're excited to learn more about you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So just to get started, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're really passionate about?
Okay. My name is Ralph Hodge. I am the new faith outreach manager here at Virginia IPL. I'm from Washington, D.C. I was raised in a place called Fort Washington, Maryland, and just always been passionate about justice and science. I'm a second generation chemist. My father was a chemist at the United States Department of Agriculture, and he had a passion for justice and food safety. He was over the food safety division. So he always wanted to make sure that people were safe and protected. And so I just kind of grew up with that kind of desire to, protect and do justice and involve science and involve the ministry. Yeah, that's a picture. My father was named the Federal Employee of the Year at the Department of Agriculture. I always keep that in a reminder that I've got big shoes to fill in his place.
So he is the one who brought you to your interest in environmental issues, or was it something else?
Well, he brought me into just about science and really the faith and the connection of science and my faith. He was always a person that just talked about the beauty of God and the power of God and the creation of God. And so I was raised with understanding that the earth, the creation is God's, is a picture of the majesty of God, and we have to protect it and be good stewards of that. So I had kind of that faith and science upbringing with my father. Then when I went to Howard University and Virginia Union University, we began to talk about stewardship and stewardship of the earth and stewardship of resources, and then begin to connect my faith with the environment, and then looking at the fact that what has been done to harm the environment and how it has harmed oftentimes disproportionately people of color and indigenous people. And so that connection of the faith and the environment and justice probably was solidly fermented at Virginia Union University when I was going to the School of Theology. We would talk about how our faith has to touch the world.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times when we think about or how people end up in environmental justice is actually through other issues. So, yeah, I think hearing that, one, you had it instilled in you, I guess, from a young age to even think about valuing creation, especially through a lens of your faith. Did a lot, right?
Of course. When you kind of told, God gives you this beautiful creation to be a good manager over it, a good steward over it. And so you can't abuse it, you can't harm it, you can't waste it. And the idea, we were taught that everything was connected, that the earth, your faith, God didn't just create this earth he created it for us to take care of it and manage it. And so if we take care of the earth, it takes care of us. When we don't take care of the earth, we suffer the consequences for, or we put others in harm's way.
Right.
Which kind of goes against the loving your neighbor ethic. In my faith, there's only two commands: love God and love your neighbor as yourself. So if you're doing something that's harming your neighbor, that's against the faith. And so if you're not protecting their water, their food sources, their air quality, you're not protecting and loving your neighbor. And so.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, my next question is, I guess, just what brought you here to VAIPL specifically? I know you wear a lot of different hats.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a crazy, crazy story. I was sharing at a community event, a creation community event, about about environmental stewardship. I don't even understand. I can't even remember why the person invited me. I think someone in the city told him and said, "Ask Pastor Hodge to come. He's a community person." I hadn't done any environmental projects at the time. I just would talk about it, and so I
Right.
taught about environmental stewardship. And next thing you know, I got connected to Ann Jerserick, who's from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, whose husband just happens to be the NASA director now. But
Oh,
that's
wow.
crazy, crazy connection. And my dad started in NASA, so that was a good connection there. And she contacts me about doing some environmental projects. And I had an issue with a stormwater bill at the city of Richmond. That's the crazy story. I really wanted to get rid of this $8,000 bill that the city was charging our church that we hadn't paid in 5 years. So we owe the city like $40,000. When people say churches aren't taxed, we are. So anyway, she came over and said, "Well, we can help you with the stormwater." And the next thing you know, her creative juices and my creative juices got together, and we came up with some stormwater projects that we could do that are probably some of the biggest in the city. I mean, in the state. That picture right there is we took, when we go to the one before, we took 20, 25 parking spaces out, we dug them up, and we put several layers of soil and different kind of stones and rocks. And it's separated into like 5 different sections on an incline. And I think there's a picture that may show what it looks like after rain and how one section is filled up. I think it may be the last one. It's like a night picture I took. Yeah, it rained really huge that night. And if you see that on that picture, we built this stormwater project in partnership with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. It's about 200 plus feet long. That first section you see to the right has water in it. It's identical to all the other sections, except the water got trapped in that first one, which is supposed to. Instead of going into the bay and polluting the bay and the river, it's trapped in our parking lot and we put down a couple thousand plants that actually love the phosphorus and grow and thrive. And we have butterflies and all sorts of, we have rabbits in the city, all sorts of everything else in there. And because of this stormwater thing, and it's going to drain. That was about 10 minutes after the storm. And it's going to drain. And instead of polluting the river, the pollutants from the parking lot and we're at the end of the street, the whole street, most of it gets trapped in this particular project here. And so we got together, and next thing you know, we're doing stormwater projects. So we did the big rain garden. Then we did a stormwater runoff program underneath our garden. That's the picture where we have 3 trenches, these huge trenches. They're about 100 feet long a piece. That's the garden right there. But underneath that garden, there's a picture that shows 3 trenches. I'm not sure if you can show that picture. That's our urban garden now, urban farm actually. It's a registered urban farm. But there's a picture we have where we dug these big trenches and we capture water off the roof of a 50,000 square foot building. We also those are the trenches right there. Yeah, that's the perfect picture. Any water we don't capture in this huge cistern we have runs off into there, as opposed to running into the stream behind the church, which feeds into the James River, which ultimately feeds into the Chesapeake Bay. We as a church thought it was a great idea to protect our water sources and lead in environmental studies. So this chance encounter meeting at a creation care event at a local elementary school led to us doing several big projects at our church. And so we started talking about environmental studies and how we could lead. And so we switched about a couple hundred of our light fixtures to LED light fixtures to conserve energy. We're going to be doing some solar projects. So we wanted to show churches green projects you could do, how they could save the environment, teach young folk, and begin to create more green spaces and conserve and reduce our carbon footprint. A long story, but it was,
No, it
you
is.
never know who you're going to meet
No,
at
that's
an
true. And I
event.
still don't think you actually even got to the part yet where you found out like how exactly you got to VAIPL specifically.
Oh, those projects got a lot of notice from the governor. from the secretary of the, excuse me, she was at this point, Dr. Jewel Brunel. She was the state head of the Department of Agriculture. Now she's a secretary, assistant secretary, or secretary deputy at the, so that's number 2 at the Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So a lot of our projects started getting notices because they were so big and they were just forward thinking that people started coming to our church and encouraging us to do more green projects. And then some people from Virginia Interfaith Power and Light, well, actually the national organization of Power and Light, asked me to come and do some lobbying at on Capitol Hill, and then that's kind of got connected. And next thing you know, Virginia Interfaith Power and Light asked someone that could maybe get some excitement in some churches and promote this in churches and faith communities. And I raised my hand and said yes, I'll help out. I'm excited about this kind of stuff. I think it's the future, and I think the church, the people of faith, need to lead. And whatever's good for the world, whatever's good for our community, whether it's making sure the air quality is good or people don't live and have lead pipes feeding water into their schools or into their homes. Those are the fights that churches need to be on the front end of, or congregations of faith communities or synagogues and mosques. We need to be on the front because all of our faiths talk about creation and the care of creation. And so I think we just need to be on the front of it.
Absolutely. And that your faith community definitely is. And I think it's like you said, the faith communities do really need to be at the front of this because so many people are affected by these various forms of oppression, right?
Yeah, because I don't think people are making the connection that if a lot of brown and black communities are near areas or in areas that are hot zones or toxic waste sites or dumps, and how that affects the water. And they put them in those communities because those communities oftentimes don't have the kind of power that other communities have to block it. And it's racism. It's racism if it affects a particular race disproportionately worse than another, and it's done on purpose and it's done intentionally. And we have to step up and say, no, that's wrong. It's not right, and we've got to fight and elevate that concern. Because a lot of times in Black and brown communities, the community a lot of times is focused on just survival. Because of racial wealth disparities that are created through historical racism, have put people in survival mode. They don't always have the time to find out about it because they're just trying to make it from one day to the next.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so people say, well, they don't care. No, I mean, if a lot of stuff, the structure is set it up so you're disenfranchised, your community doesn't have investments, the schools are older, and they're not giving your community what they give other communities, you're at a disadvantage, and so you're surviving. So you may not. So groups like Virginia Interfaith Power and Light, it's our responsibility to bring that voice to those communities and elevate those voices to the halls of power that can make decisions and do make decisions all the time that affect people, and oftentimes affect people negatively.
Right. It's like one of the best kept secrets in our nation.
Yeah.
On purpose, right?
So I mean, because I think there's communities in our country that have I guess stormwater issues or sewer issues where they have diseases that they have in countries that are very underdeveloped, but we have that in America. There's places in our country, there's even places in our state where lead pipes are still sending water into schools and communities.
Yep, exactly. And I think even the work that Second Baptist Church is doing right now is just a great example to show like what one community can do, right?
Yep.
And how much power that has. Like just even from the photos that we were sharing earlier, it's like just thinking about, I saw that huge ditch of water, not ditch, but
the rain garden.
Exactly, the rain garden.
Rain garden.
Right. No, it is a rain garden.
It's a big ditch, though.
It is a big ditch where the water
is that's on purpose. There's a picture, I don't think it loaded, that explained the different soils. So it's an intentional ditch, but we call it a rain garden.
Exactly, an intentional ditch. But my point in pointing out the ditch was that it's trapping so much water, right?
Yes.
That's being converted and taking out all of those nasty chemicals and stuff that ends up running off into our waterways, running off into, our own everyday like gardens in our own little backyards or our sewage system. So I think,
And it wasn't a hard thing to do.
and which brings me to my next question, I guess, which is just how do you get people excited and interested about this work, especially faith leaders? I think a lot of the times when we talk about environmental issues, for those who are interested in, um, who are interested and maybe do want to take action, it can be kind of overwhelming, right? And kind of seem like intangible and out of reach in a lot of ways, especially because we don't realize the impact that one community can have, or even one person, right? So I think it would be great if you could share more about, like, I guess maybe how people should go about uh, getting involved to if they are interested in taking action, and how not to get overwhelmed and think getting too bogged down by the possibilities of things being too expensive or too big of a project or too difficult.
Well, that's real easy. I think the first thing is you want to connect with the organization, and I'm going to shamelessly plug our organization on this broadcast. You want to connect with someone like myself at Virginia Interfaith Power and Light. And if you're a faith congregation, you definitely want to meet with me. I'm the Faith Outreach Manager. That is my job. And what we can do is, first of all, we can meet with your leadership. We can have workshops and invite you to different presentations. So you can first just get a glimpse of what is out there. With regards to doing projects, there are all sorts of groups and monies that are available to do projects, grants, and opportunities to fund it. Our project, one of those projects was about 100 some plus $1,000. Second Baptist did not pay 1 cent for that. That was money that came down through the federal government. The federal government has programs for all of this. And there's groups that are ready and looking for people that are interested in doing projects. So we can connect you with all of that. So we make it easy. I always say we take the big thing and we break it down into small chunks for you, make it easily to digest. And so you want to start, my email should be on the screen, rhodge at vaipl@gmail.com. Send me email, say we're interested in learning more about environmental justice. Then the person that's talking to me, Aaliyah Jones, is one of our presenters. She does a great workshop. I'm her cheerleader with regards to that. And our director, one of our directors, Kendall Crawford. These ladies are outstanding with regards to connecting environmental justice to what churches and faith communities can do. And so they can do that in person or a Zoom workshop. So we can meet you wherever you are and meet you any kind of need. And so our organization is ready to reach out and share with you the different things and partnerships. We have a partnership program with churches where we can help you build and develop a green team that is, teach you about education on environmental justice issues, how you can advocate, how you can use your voice as far as voting and meeting with your legislators to begin to talk about environmental issues in your community and elevating your voice to the halls of Congress and to the General Assembly. So we can do that for you.
Thanks, Rob. You just about covered everything and cheered your teammates on in the process.
Say
Uh,
again.
I said you plugged just about everyone and cheered us on in the process. We're
Well,
supposed to be
I,
covered by
I want to
you.
give a big shout out to Cadest as well. She's behind the scenes today. But let me tell you guys, there probably isn't a better organization. That's why I'm excited to be part of it. Better organization with some of the brightest people that are doing environmental justice in the state that are at Virginia Interfaith Power and Light. I don't get connected to folks that aren't sharp. These are some of the sharpest people I've ever met, and so they really want to help us and help our community, and so that's why I'm part of it.
Thank you so much, Ralph. I mean, it's been great hearing about you today, learning more about your background, your faith community today, and all the awesome stuff that y'all are doing, and the impact that y'all have. I don't even think that this was enough to really express like how much of an impact all the work that you all are doing are able to accomplish. You're really making your faith community a resource for other folks all throughout the community, which I think is what we want in an ideal world. A lot of us, well, I know for a fact the folks here at VIPL do anyways, using our faith communities as a place for people to tap in, to fight against, I guess, the injustices that are oppressing them, right?
If
Whether
we really love our neighbor, we
right,
really love our neighbor, we're going to
exactly.
fight for environmental justice.
Exactly. Whether that be water, energy, food. I know you all have an urban garden right now,
Yeah.
and
You can get free vegetables at our church on Wednesday morning, but they go quick. Um, they go quick. The farmers market, yeah, that's some free vegetables right there. The farmers market will launch June the 5th. So yeah, people are excited. So I'm telling people 8 to 12. If you are there at 8 o'clock, I cannot guarantee they're going to be. I mean, they flock in, so people are already excited because we were doing it free as kind of a teaser, get folk excited. So that's what we have. That was a table had I think baby kale, Asian spinaches, and stuff like that, and some of the best garlic ever that you ever want to use. Oh my gosh, I'm
Ooh,
talking about this is the kind of stuff that make any Italian dish just so
I'm telling you.
I can't tell you the garlic is going to be around long. It's just but the
Oh, I'm gonna have to
kale,
get there
the
then.
spinach, I'm not sure. And we even have honey at our church. I didn't even say anything about Second Baptist honey. Did I tell you? I didn't tell you about the
No,
honey.
I've never even heard about the honey.
Oh, the honey's a big deal. We sell the honey like crack. I mean, I hate to say it.
Do you all have bees?
We had the bees in the back. We moved them because we were afraid that somebody would knock them over, but they're not far.
Wow, you all
Yeah,
have bees as well.
yeah.
Okay.
The honey is as brown as me. That's the honey. You take a tablespoon a day. It's supposed to regulate your sugar and insulin. We teach the kids about the connection of the bees and the environment. So if you destroy the environment,
Allergies, pollen.
whew, we jammed up. But if you have allergies, local honey will alleviate those allergies. And people, I don't have them, but people around here swear by the honey. Sorry, it's a shameless plug for my honey. People save the bees.
Yes. They do need to be saved though, which could be a whole other
People don't
conversation.
understand. If you tear a green area down where you have a nest of bees that is pollinating a local farm, you will ruin a crop.
A whole food source,
Whole
yes.
food source.
Hmm.
People do not understand that. Just putting a seed in the ground does not mean that's not how stuff just grows. It's a whole ecosystem, and it's important. So you mess the water up. Oh, it's crazy. You can't mess anything up.
Right. And that I think now I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we should share before we head out, or if we've forgotten.
You got to bring me back.
Oh yeah, you're definitely going to be back.
Yeah.
Everybody, Pastor Hodge is going to be back. He's going to be back soon too.
Yeah, well, I work here now.
Right, he works here now. So we're looking forward to those episodes. And before we close out, is there anything else that you would like to share to get the people excited, or anything else about your faith community, or items, work you have going on?
Yeah. If you have a pastor, rabbi, imam, have them contact me, or you contact me. I want to sit down and talk to your congregation about environmental justice. Just give me 15 minutes. That's all we need, and to talk to you and get you connected and show you how you can advocate to bless our communities.
Great. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
There is Pastor Hodge's email, as well as it's in the comments as well for those of you who weren't able to catch it, as well as the way that you can join our email newsletter if you all are interested with keeping up with us and all the work that we have going on. We have some very exciting things coming up, especially for the month of June, in celebration and recognition of Juneteenth. So please be on the lookout for all that good info upcoming and events upcoming. So thank you again, Pastor Hodge, for being here.
Thank
And
you.
we will see you all on the next episode.